My child, they love you, but your appearance unsettles them, and not for the reasons you think. Chosen one, listen closely, because what you are about to receive is more than just words. It is a divine whisper reaching for your soul, and I need you to stay with me until the very end, because the truth I am about to place in your hands was never meant to wound you. It was meant to set you free. Do not let the restless part of your mind pull you away before the deepest layer is reached, because the thing your heart has been circling for years, the answer you have not been able to land on, is waiting for you further in. Before I tell you about them, I want to tell you about you, because I have been watching you far longer than they have. I have watched the way you have been looked at your entire life. I saw the earliest moments, the ones you may not even consciously remember, when you first learned that being seen was not always safe. I saw the comment that landed when you were young, the offhand word about your body, your face, your size, your skin, the thing someone said in passing that they forgot by dinner but that you carried for years. I saw the way a single glance from a stranger could rearrange how you felt about yourself for an entire day. I saw you learn, slowly, and without anyone teaching you directly, that it was easier to make yourself smaller, quieter, less noticeable, less bright, because being fully seen had cost you before, and the heart protects itself from what has wounded it. I saw you stand in front of the mirror on the hard mornings, searching yourself for flaws instead of witnessing the design. I saw you get ready and then change, and change again, not because you did not know what looked good, but because some old voice was whispering that no matter what you wore, you would be too much or not enough. I saw you enter rooms and immediately begin to manage yourself, to shrink your presence, to soften your laugh, to hold back the fullness of who you are, just to keep the people around you comfortable. And I saw what it cost you every single time. I did not miss one of those moments, not one. And I need you to hear me say this before we go a single step further. None of it was ever true. The lie that you had to become less for others to feel more was one of the most expensive lies you ever believed. And tonight, I am here to break it off of you completely. And before you ever drew your first breath, I want you to know how deliberately you were made. On the day I formed you, I was not rushing. I was not distracted. I did not assemble you from leftover pieces, and I did not make you in the image of someone else because I had run out of ideas. I chose every detail of you with intention. The particular shape of your face, the sound of your voice, the way your eyes catch the light, the presence that enters a room a half second before you do. None of it was accidental. I looked at what I had made, and I called it good long before anyone on this earth ever had the chance to call it anything else. And nothing that has happened since, no cruel word, no cold glance, no long season of being misunderstood, has changed my verdict by even a fraction. The world's opinion of you was always the second voice. Mine was the first, and mine will be the last. Now let me tell you about them. There is someone in your life who holds great love for you. Love that runs deeper than comfort, deeper than expression. But wrapped inside that love is a silence they cannot break, an attention they never speak aloud. It lives behind their eyes when they look at you. It trembles on their tongue but never finds the courage to leave their lips. And the truth is this: it is about how you appear. Not because you are lacking, but because you are radiant in ways this world does not know how to handle. This is not judgment. This is not rejection. This is the quiet war between love and insecurity, between knowing your worth and fearing the weight of how others might see you. And that person, they are caught in the middle of it. They admire your strength. They see your beauty. But the world speaks with cruel standards, and somewhere along the way that noise found a home in their heart. It is not hate they carry, it is fear. And in that fear they have questioned what others might say, what others might think. And because of that, they have pulled back, not from your soul, but from their own peace. They have gone quiet at the exact moments you needed them to speak. They have hesitated at the exact moments you needed them to be certain, and you have felt every one of those hesitations. And you have wondered, in the privacy of your own heart, whether something was wrong with you. So hear me, chosen one. What they fear is the very thing heaven rejoices over, because I do not see the way people see. The Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. That is 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7. You were never a mistake. You are not too much. You are not too different. You are the very reflection of divine craftsmanship, shaped in beauty, crowned in intention. I know the specific loneliness this has carved into you, because it is a loneliness most people never have to name. It is not the loneliness of being unloved. It is stranger and quieter than that. It is the loneliness of being loved and still feeling unseen. Of knowing someone cares for you deeply and still lying awake, wondering why they cannot simply say it, why their eyes hold what their mouth will not release, why you feel closest to them in the very moments they seem most afraid. You have questioned your own perception. You have wondered whether you were imagining the distance, or worse, whether you were somehow causing it. You have replayed conversations in the dark, searching for the thing you did wrong, the flaw that made them pull back. Chosen one, hear me. You were not imagining it, and you were not causing it. What you sensed was real, but its source was never your unworthiness. Its source was their unhealed fear, and there is a world of difference between those two things. A difference that changes everything about how you will see yourself from tonight forward. But here is the truth they will never say aloud. It is not your appearance that intimidates them. It is the reflection of their own insecurity staring back at them. Your presence does not just attract, it awakens. It activates the parts of them they have long tried to keep buried, and deep inside they fear that someone as radiant as you could slip out of their grasp if they are not strong enough to walk beside your light. Your light does not make them feel diminished because you are doing anything wrong. It makes them feel diminished because it reminds them of everything they have not yet dared to become. If you can feel the truth of this settling into your spirit type, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and let that be the first wall of the lie to fall. My beloved, before we go one step deeper, I want you to do something with the compassion rising in you right now, because you know this ache. You know what it is to be looked at and misread, to be admired and abandoned in the same breath. So I want you to sow a seed, not for yourself, but for someone else who has spent their whole life being told they were too much, too loud, too different, too bright. Someone who has learned to shrink just to keep others comfortable. Sow a seed in their name as a declaration of faith that heaven is lifting the shame off of them the same way it is lifting it off of you. Visit the link in the description below, or scan the code on your screen. When you give on behalf of another soul's freedom, you accelerate your own, and I never forget a seed sown in love. Now let me take you inside their heart, because you have spent so long wondering what they were thinking that you deserve to finally understand it. They stood there longer than they meant to, their gaze lingering not in judgment, not in discomfort, but in a quiet battle between admiration and fear. They do not stare because they question your worth. They stare because they are trying to accept the entire weight of your being. Every detail, every light, every shadow. Without flinching. Their love is not shallow. It is not fleeting, but it is terrified. Terrified that the world might not see you the way they do, that someone might mock you. That society, with all its cold and narrow standards, might twist the beauty they see into something you begin to doubt, and they do not know how to protect you from that. They do not know how to shield your heart without exposing their own. Understand where their fear was born, because it did not begin with you. Long before they met you, the world handed them the same cruel measuring stick it handed everyone. They were taught to rank, to compare, to fear being judged by association, to believe that their worth rose or fell based on how the people beside them were received. And then you walked in carrying a light that draws every eye in the room, and something in them panicked. Not because they did not want you, but because they suddenly felt the full weight of a question they had never healed. Am I enough to stand beside this? Will people look at us and wonder what someone like you is doing with someone like me? Those questions were not born from logic. They were born from a wound, an old, unhealed place that your radiance, through no fault of your own, pressed directly upon. So they carry a quiet, aching question every time they are near you. Will others understand? Will the world recognize the sacred within this soul I hold so close? And that question has built a fragile distance between your truth and their love. A distance made not of rejection, but of fear. What they feel when they stand near you is not new, chosen one. It is as old as calling itself. There was a man named Moses whom I called from a burning bush to lead an entire nation out of bondage. And when I spoke his destiny over him, he did not answer with confidence. He answered with trembling. "Who am I?" he asked. "That I should go? I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." Even standing in the presence of a divine calling, he doubted his own capacity. And still I did not withdraw the call. I anointed him anyway. There was a man named Gideon, hiding from his enemies, threshing wheat in secret, convinced he was the least of his family and the weakest of his people. And my angel greeted him with a name he had not yet earned, Mighty Warrior. Not because he felt strong, but because heaven already saw what he would become. There was a fisherman named Peter who, when he first encountered the fullness of my Son's glory, fell to his knees and said, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man." It was not hatred that made him say it. It was awe. It was the feeling of standing in front of something so holy that it exposed everything in him that was still unhealed. And my Son did not leave him. He called him forward. Chosen one. The one who loves you is standing in that very same place. They are looking at something in you they cannot explain, and their first instinct is to retreat into the belief that they are not enough. But their presence in your life is already a sign that they are being called higher. I do not place radiant souls beside people by accident, so do not mistake their silence for absence. This so-called problem with your appearance was never really about your appearance. It has always been about the mirror it holds up to their own insecurity. Your presence pulls things to the surface, their doubts, their fear of judgment, their uncertainty about whether they are strong enough to stand beside someone who does not dim. But something holy is unfolding. The moment is nearing when the weight of pretending will collapse, when they can no longer swallow their silence. And when they finally speak, truly speak, the walls built by fear will begin to fall. Because what they have seen in you all along was never a flaw. It was a calling. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That is Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. And light, chosen one, will always draw attention. But that attention is not your burden. It is your purpose. If something in you is beginning to understand this for the very first time, type, "My light was never a flaw." It is a calling. Understand how differently heaven measures you than the world does. The world measures in surfaces. It ranks, it compares, it discards, it builds its cruel standards, and then convinces good people that their value rises and falls with how closely they match them. But I have never once looked at you that way. When the world sees a face to be judged, I see a soul I formed with my own hands. When the world sees a body to be measured, I see a temple I filled with my own breath. When the world sees something to compare, I see something I made unrepeatable. A design I will never make again in exactly the same way. Not in all of history, not in all of time. You are not a copy of anyone. You are not entered in anyone's ranking. You were never enrolled in the contest the world tried to force you into. The measuring stick they handed you was never mine. Set it down, chosen one. It was always far too small to hold the truth of what you are. I know how many voices are competing for your attention right now, and how easily this truth could slip away and be forgotten by tomorrow morning. So if any part of this is reaching the deep places in you, do not let this be the last time you hear my voice through this place. Subscribe and turn on the reminder so that when I release the next word over your life, it finds you. I am gathering my chosen ones, one message at a time, and I do not want you to miss the moment your name is called again. Now hear me, chosen one, because I am about to decree some things over your life, and I want you to receive each one as it is spoken, not as a wish, but as a word already sealed in heaven. The first thing I decree is this: the shame you have carried about the way you appear is broken tonight. Every voice that told you that you were too much, every memory that taught you to shrink, every wound that made you flinch under attention, I am lifting it off of you, layer by layer, until you can stand in a room fully seen and feel no need to apologize for taking up space. Receive that now. If you receive it, type, "The shame is broken over me tonight." The second thing I decree is this: Your light is being restored to its full brightness. For years you have lived at a fraction of your radiance, dimming yourself out of habit, out of self-protection, out of love for people who could not yet handle the whole of you. That season is ending. I am not asking you to become someone new. I am returning you to who you already were before the world taught you to hide. The version of you that walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere without trying. That version was never arrogance. It was always design, and it is coming back. The third thing I decree is this: the relationship you have been aching over is being purified, not destroyed, but refined. What fear built, love will now rebuild. The distance that silence created is being closed, and the very trait that once made them tremble, your radiance, your boldness, your unshakable truth, is the exact thing that will make them stay. Do not brace for loss. Brace for a love that finally learns how to stand in the same light that made it fall. And hear this last decree, chosen one. The right people are being drawn to you now. The ones who do not flinch at your brightness. The ones who feel more alive in your presence rather than more threatened. And the ones who could only love you when you were small are being lovingly moved out of the center of your life. This is not punishment. This is alignment. Every exit is making room for an entrance. And hear this, because your freedom was never only about you. The shame you carried about the way you appear did not begin with you. Look back along the line you came from and you will see it moving through the generations before you. A mother or a grandmother who never once felt beautiful enough, who studied her own reflection with the same cruelty you learned to use on yours. A father who measured worth by the approval of others, and passed that measuring down without ever meaning to. A family line that quietly agreed, generation after generation, that being seen was dangerous and being noticed was pride. You inherited a wound you did not create, and for years you carried it as though it were your own personal failing. But tonight, I am cutting it off at the root. The pattern stops with you. What was handed down in shame will now be handed down in freedom. The ones who come after you, whether they are already here or not yet born, will not inherit the flinch, the shrinking, the apology for simply existing. They will inherit someone who finally learned to stand in her full light without asking permission, and that inheritance is worth more than any amount of money you could ever leave them. You are not just breaking a lie for yourself tonight, you are breaking it for everyone who shares your blood. If you receive that type, the pattern stops with me. Now I want to teach you how to carry all of this, because knowing the truth is not the same as living from it. The first thing I ask of you is this: honor the way I made you, not merely accept it, honor it. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. That is Psalm 139, verse 14. This is not a verse to read once and forget. It is a rhythm to live by when you look into the mirror. Do not search for flaws. Witness the design every time you thank me for how you were formed. You dismantle the lie that you must become less for others to feel safe. Say it over yourself in the morning before the world gets a chance to speak first. Let my word be the first voice you hear about your own reflection, not the last. Then, walk in compassion without surrendering your voice. Their struggle with your light is not your fault, and it is not your assignment to fix, but it does call for grace. Grace that does not bend into silence, but breathes room into the bond between you. When they hesitate, you do not have to retreat, and you do not have to demand. You simply remain grounded and present, letting your inner voice say, "Their fear does not define my value." Become the constant that quietly reveals stability, not to prove your worth, but because peace already lives in you, and do not interpret their silence as rejection. Insecure love does not always know how to speak. When a heart has not yet healed its own sense of worth, silence becomes a shelter, a delay, not a verdict. So let your stillness answer their silence, not with bitterness, but with a peace that cannot be shaken. In the moments the quiet grows heavy, do not fill it with panic. Turn inward, pray, breathe, return to your center. Let your steadiness say what your defensiveness never could, and hear this clearly because it matters. You are allowed to be whole, even while someone close to you is still fractured. Build a life that is not held hostage by their approval. Grow, Pursue what I placed inside you. Read what nourishes you. Build friendships that remind you of who you are. Discover the calling that has been burning in you while you waited for someone else to catch up. That is not abandonment. That is alignment. And when you flourish, you create a climate where others can choose to rise or not. But either way, your growth was never meant to depend on their comfort. When love requires it, set boundaries. Not with anger, but with quiet strength. The kind I placed in my own son when he stepped away from the crowds to pray and walked through rejection without resentment. Say with clarity, I will not shrink to be easier to love. Say with truth, fear will not write the rules for how we treat each other. Boundaries are not rejection. They are honor for both of you. If your spirit agrees with heaven tonight, type, I will not shrink to be easier to love. My beloved, faith is not only spoken, it is planted. So even now, in the middle of this revelation, I want you to sow a seed as your personal act of faith, not because you have to, but because your yes to heaven, spoken before you see a single thing change in them, is one of the most powerful declarations you can make. Visit the link in the description below, or scan the code on your screen. This is not about the size of what you give. It is about the agreement behind it, you saying, I believe you, God, before the evidence arrives, and what is sown in faith is never lost. It is only planted, and in due season, it will rise as a harvest you did not have to strive for. Now understand the grace hidden in all of this. Their fear is not the end of the story. What once felt like intimidation is slowly becoming inspiration. They are beginning to understand that your light was never meant to shame them. It was meant to awaken them. What they once read as distance is becoming a calling, a quiet, holy pressure to rise, to grow stronger, to step into the version of themselves that is able to stand beside someone who does not shrink. Because that is what real love does. It does not merely accept, it transforms. And they are learning this now, quietly, slowly, through every moment they watched you endure the weight of other people's opinions and still rise. Through every time they saw you take the hit and still shine. Through every conversation where they wanted to speak, but could not find the words. And yet your patience never condemned them. You gave them space to wrestle, and in that space, love is winning. There is no fear in love. Perfect love drives out fear. That is 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. Not because fear vanishes in an instant, but because love patiently pulls fear into the light where it can no longer rule. That is what is happening in them right now. Their love is casting out their fear. I want you to see the day that is coming because it is closer than you realize, and you have waited too long without a picture of it. There will be a moment, an ordinary moment, nothing dramatic, when the pretending finally becomes too heavy for them to carry. Maybe it will be quiet. Maybe you will be sitting together, and the words will simply begin to come. The ones they have swallowed 100 times, and they will tell you the truth at last. They will tell you that it was never that you were too much. It was that they feared they were not enough. They will tell you that every time they went silent, it was not because they stopped seeing you. It was because they were overwhelmed by how much they did. They will confess that they have watched the world look at you and felt a terror they did not know how to name. The terror of loving something so bright that they feared they could never be worthy to keep it. And then they will say the thing your soul has been waiting years to hear. Your beauty was never a problem. It was always my teacher. Your presence was never too much. It was always exactly what I needed in order to see who I could become. And in that moment, chosen one, every question you ever carried will dissolve. Every night you lay awake wondering whether it was you. Every time you mistook their hesitation for a verdict on your worth. All of it will fall away. You will finally understand that the distance was never a rejection. It was a pause in a story that needed healing before it could move forward. Because you were never sent into their life to make them smaller. You were sent to call them higher. You did not cross paths with them by accident. The same God who made you radiant is more than able to make them ready. But they must choose to grow. And even if the choosing takes time, your worth does not wait on their courage. If your heart believes that this day is coming, type, I receive this truth, and let me show you what the two of you become on the other side of this. Because I do not break down a thing without building something better in its place. I see a love that no longer flinches. I see them learning to stand beside you in a crowded room and feel proud instead of exposed, drawing closer to your light instead of shrinking away from it. I see the day they defend you before you even have to ask. The day your radiance becomes the thing they are most grateful for rather than the thing they most feared losing you to. I see conversations that used to end in silence now ending in honesty. I see them reaching for your hand, not out of nervous habit, but out of settled certainty. This is not a fantasy I am describing to comfort you. It is a future I am arranging, thread by thread, in the unseen places while you wait. The purification you are walking through right now is not the ending of this relationship. It is the forging of it. What comes out the other side of the fire will not be the fragile thing that trembled at every glance. It will be something tested, and therefore something that cannot easily be broken again. So let me tell you what I see, because I can see it even when you cannot. I see the day the veil lifts, not only from their heart, but from your understanding. The day they stop resisting your light and finally surrender, not to you, but to the truth they have always carried but never had the strength to speak. And on that day they will stop asking, "Am I enough for someone like this?" And they will begin to believe, "I was chosen to walk beside this light, not in competition, not in shadow, but in partnership. You shall be a crown of beauty in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem in the hand of your God." That is Isaiah chapter 62 verse 3. You are not only admired by heaven, you are held, you are honored, you are worn like something precious in the very hand of your God, and the one who loves you will come to see that too. But hear me, chosen one, because this message was never only about them. It has always also been about your awakening. This is not just about them learning to love you more openly. It is about you remembering who you are and realizing fully and without apology that the way you were made was never a mistake. Not the way you move, not the way you are seen, not the way your presence shifts the air when you walk into a room. You were never called to fold yourself into smaller shapes just to keep others comfortable. You were never meant to dim what they once feared in your light. Heaven celebrates. You were set apart. You were shaped for glory, not for comparison. Every trait you were taught to apologize for is a trait I placed in you on purpose, and heaven has been waiting a long time for you to stop hiding it. If you are ready to break your agreement with every lie that told you that you were too much type, I break agreement with every lie that I am too much. Understand this about your presence because it is more than beauty. It carries spiritual weight, an anointing stitched into your existence before you spoke your first word. There are souls in this world who feel drawn to you not because of your surface, but because your spirit speaks to something ancient in them. Your light reaches into the forgotten corners of people's identity. It stirs memories of callings they abandoned, of dreams they buried, of courage they silenced. That is why loving you is never a passive experience. Your presence does not just attract, it activates. You do not enter a life and leave it unchanged. And sometimes that awakening is mistaken for discomfort, because people who have lived wrapped in emotional armor confuse safety with stagnation, and confuse transformation with threat. But you are not here to rescue anyone. You are here to reflect. You are here to be the person I formed you to be, and in doing so to give others permission to come out of hiding. Your role is not to dim your brilliance to accommodate their shadows. Your role is to hold your light with grace, so that they can begin to believe it is safe to step into theirs, and do not think for a single moment that your light was given to you only for the sake of one relationship. The radiance you carry has an assignment far larger than the heart of any one person. There are people you have not yet met who are waiting for the exact courage you are about to walk in. When you finally stop dimming, when you finally stand in the fullness of who I made you to be, you will become permission for others. Someone who has spent their whole life hiding will watch you live unafraid, and they will dare for the first time to stop hiding too. That is how light works, chosen one. It does not compete, it multiplies. Every time you refuse to shrink, you hand someone else the courage to rise. Your boldness will become a quiet revolution, and you may never fully know. On this side of eternity, how many lives were set free simply because you stopped apologizing for the way I made you? So live fully, live boldly, live without apology, The most powerful healing you can offer to someone who is afraid of your light is not to cover it, but to walk in it, not to flaunt it, but to own it. Let your confidence teach without a single word. Let your joy be the proof that love, when it is real, has nothing to fear. Because the one who loves you is not your enemy. Their fear is not the villain. Their insecurity is not your assignment. It is simply a place in their spirit that has not yet encountered enough truth. And your job is not to become smaller so they can feel taller. Your job is to stay rooted in who I created you to be, and to let that identity speak louder than fear ever could. I want to give you one final chance tonight to plant your faith into the ground of what I have spoken. If this message found you in the exact moment you needed it, that was not an accident. That was me reaching for you across everything that competes for your attention, choosing this moment to say the thing your soul has needed to hear for years. So sow your final seed of faith, not out of pressure, but out of partnership, agreeing with heaven that what I am doing beneath the surface of this relationship is real, and it is already in motion. Visit the link in the description, or scan the code on your screen. Every seed sown in faith is seen by the one who holds your future, and what you release in trust, I will return in abundance. So receive this now as a sealing over your life. I break every false story written by fear. I silence the voice that told you that you were too bold, too beautiful, too different. And in its place I declare the truth. You are not too much. You were always anointed. You do not have to earn the right to take up space. You do not have to tie your worth to anyone's ability to handle your glory. I made you to stand out, to shift rooms, to shake old narratives with nothing but your presence. And to the one who loves you, I am awakening the courage to rise, the humility to confess, and the strength to love without shrinking. Let their love be purified. Let it be reborn, not in fear, but in reverence. If you receive this sealing over your life, type, I am held, and I am honored by heaven. And when the old shame tries to return, and it will try, because a lie that lived in you for years does not always leave without a fight, I want you to know exactly what to do. Do not argue with it. Do not spend an hour trying to reason your way out of a feeling that never came from reason in the first place. Instead, speak out loud if you can. Remind that old voice who formed you and who holds the final word over your reflection. Tell it that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that the one who made you does not make mistakes. The lie is loud, but it is not stronger than the truth. It only feels stronger because you have listened to it longer. So beginning tonight, give the truth more of your attention than you give the lie. Every morning you thank me for how I made you. Every time you refuse to shrink in a room, every boundary you hold with quiet strength, you are teaching your own soul a new language, and in time that language will become the one you speak without even trying. Remember, their silence was never a verdict. Their hesitation was never rejection. Every pause, every lingering glance, every moment their voice softened when they said your name, these were not signs of indifference. They were the sound of someone caught between reverence and fear, someone learning, slowly, that they do not have to lose you to your own brilliance. They only have to rise with you, and that rising is coming. The trembling in their hands when they held yours was never doubt about you. It was doubt about themselves, and even that is beginning to heal. What fear tried to fracture, love is rebuilding, and what it rebuilds will not be fragile this time. It will be forged, tested, and unshakable. So carry this with you, chosen one. On the days the old doubt returns, and you wonder again whether you are too much, come back to this truth. Write it down if you need to. Keep it somewhere you can find it when the mirror tries to lie to you again. You are seen. You are known. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you were never meant to be hidden. Your appearance was never the problem. It was always the proof that you were standing near something sacred, and that the people around you were being invited, through you, into a bigger version of their own lives. If this word reached the place in you that needed it, if you are ready to stop shrinking and finally walk in the fullness of who I created you to be, type, I am chosen, and I will not dim. And if you want to keep returning to a place that sees the real you, and not just the version you show the world, subscribe and stay in this house. because this is not the end. It is the beginning of everything I am unfolding in your life. Then share this with one person who has spent too long believing they had to become less to be loved. You already know who they are. Send it to them because your light was never meant to stay in one room. Until the next word, walk boldly, love fully, and never forget who you are.